Salutations, guys. I'm here with my review of The Gorge, a new movie debuting on Apple TV Plus this weekend. This is a new movie with a lot of notable people involved. It is from director Scott Derrickson, who has made Doctor Strange and Sinister and The Black Phone, and it stars Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy. So lots of, cool talent involved. I don't love that it is not going to play in theaters and it's a streaming debut, but I guess such is life a lot of times with movies these days. And it's also got a really cool setup and a really cool premise. This is about two elite assassins. Anya Taylor-Joy's character, Drasa, is from Lithuania. Miles Teller's character is from the US. They are both amazing snipers, and they are hired separately. They have no connection. They don't know each other at all, to stand watch at these two towers over a mysterious gorge that has something creepy and awful down inside it. And that they are the people that are supposed to guard over that and stop whatever's inside from getting out. And this is a system long in place with people coming in every year to replace the last person on each side. And again, not supposed to be any contact between them, but she decides to break that rule and initiate contact. And some sparks start to fly between them, even as the danger of what's in the gorge, of course, is imminent. I've mentioned in some other recent reviews, I think because there's been a lot of horror comedies coming out this year, that I really enjoy genre mashups and taking, disparate elements and combining them together. And The Gorge certainly goes big in that regard, because this is a love story, this is an action film, and this is a horror movie. And all of these things are, intertwined here in a very big way. None of those are unessential elements to the story. And I really love how it all kind of comes together in the slow build of this movie. It really all falls on the shoulders of your two leads here, because so much is about, there's such a small cast. There's one other notable name. Sigourney Weaver plays the person who recruits Miles Teller. But really, so much of this movie is just Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy. And fortunately, they're two great actors for this, because, they're just both so talented, and they also have a lot of great chemistry together. Chemistry that has to kind of really be sold even when they're not on camera together, because so much of the movie is them looking across at each other and communicating with each other, just holding up things they're writing and little things they're doing with each other. And silently. There's not a lot of dialogue in these scenes. Why would there be? They can't hear each other. Yet it completely works. I mean, the two actors invest you in what's happening here. And I got invested in their relationship and sort of how they would have this growing, spark between them, quite literally across a chasm. And yeah, it really does work, I think, as a good love story, while at the same time you're like, what the hell is down there? And when is it going to strike? And getting sort of moments that kind of, pop up of action and tension. And look, who would resist how great it is to see Anya Taylor-Joy with giant, machine gun mowing down, I won't say exactly what, but things that are coming at her. She's so great, especially. I mean, Miles Teller I really like in this movie, but Anya Taylor-Joy, I think, she just has become such a talented actress, but also such a great physical actress. Obviously, Furiosa last year was a big example of that. And here again, barely speaking for a lot of the movie, but playing a person who has got to be very formidable and very capable, and you completely believe that about her. This is once more, not that I needed any reinforcement on this, but once more kind of underlining what a great sort of talent she is. And I was loving so much of this movie. And if you feel like, is he getting towards a ... I am. Including when you finally see what's in the gorge. Yes, you're going to see what's in the gorge, as the trailer hints at. And it looks great. It's awesome. There is such cool visuals. There is a lot of creativity to what the design is. I don't want to kind of get too specific in describing what you see, because I think the fun of it is seeing it for yourself, beyond those little glimpses the trailer gives you. And then the movie, unfortunately, kind of really falters in the last quarter, I'd say. I think it makes a couple of key mistakes, and a lot of them really revolve around the same thing, which is over-explaining what is going on in a way I just don't think we need. I think the movie would have really benefited from either just keeping it vague, and really open to interpretation, or keeping it sort of general. Instead, they get really specific. There is some big exposition on what exactly is happening there, and I think it kind of crosses a weird line for the movie. This movie's obviously operating at a bigger than life, heightened level, but I think you can really immerse yourself in it as long as you're, open for this sort of fantastical thing. But then once it starts getting into people talking about, oh, this is what's happening, and oh, that changes this, and also that affects something else, and there's kind of a little other twist on the scenario, that's when it starts to actually feel a little more overtly silly. It's such a fine line with a movie like this. And so then you get some lines that I think are kind of cheesy. And it's all really packed at the end of the movie. It's interesting. The movie really has such great control of what it's doing and of these characters and immersing yourself in it. And then I think it just needed a rewrite it never got, or maybe it got a rewrite it shouldn't have had, with the explanation. And I wish they'd held back. I wish they'd really done a less is more approach here, and let you just take a couple of lines. There's some lines set up earlier about what it could be, what it might be, what might have caused this to happen, and I thought, that's enough. That's all I need. But instead, they go really all in on telling you in a way that I think is, just doesn't work, and unfortunately leaves the movie on an unfortunate, sort of not as satisfying place that so much of the movie is. And I didn't love the actual ending either, where they leave off with these characters. It felt inappropriate. It didn't feel sort of like the earned ending of this movie. Now, all of that to say, the criticisms I have about the final quarter of this movie, I still really like this movie. I'm not an ending guy as far as a movie can be absolutely ruined by a bad ending. Not to say never. I mean, sometimes, yes, if there is something that, if it's like a murder mystery or something where you're really waiting for the payoff and it just turns out to be something that just completely undercuts everything, that can ruin a movie. But I think other cases, a disappointing ending doesn't mean the whole movie, wasn't worth the journey. And in this case, I think that The Gorge is worth the journey and worth watching these two actors and worth getting invested in the relationship and the cool action and the cool horror moments. There's some genuinely scary and spooky moments, but also the imagination behind that creature design. Again, it's sort of a mixture of beautiful and yet horrific. Some of the things that are, you see here. The score, it's got an Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor score. I don't think it's one of their very best, as we're coming off the year that gave us Challengers, but it's still a really damn good score. There's so many good elements here, and I think Scott Derrickson has just gotten better and better as director. I mean, I really like almost all the stuff he's done, and I think that this is visually one of his best movies yet, and really shows that he can sort of expand and still deliver some really creepy, great horror elements, but also expand into more of an action realm, but also more into a romance realm. I liked a lot of this movie. And then, the last half hour or so, it just wasn't clicking as much. And that's too bad, but I still think you should check this out, especially if you're into these actors, or kind of, if you watch that trailer and you thought, that looks cool, it is cool. You just kind of have to be ready for that ending to maybe not satisfy in the way that so much of the rest of the movie does. And ultimately leaves me feeling it was good, but not as great as it could have been. I mentioned at the top that this is going to debut on Apple TV+. It won't play in theaters, and I do think that's a bummer. It's very sign of the times, but when you have a movie with this cool of sort of a high concept, and that is so well directed and with really cool visuals from a director that's obviously delivered many times on a great theatrical experience, and these two actors that are very sort of, I wouldn't say up and coming, they've already established themselves, but are, actors that have their own following. It just seems kind of like, why is this just on, a streaming service? It's hardly the only movie you can say that about in recent memory. I feel like we're starting to veer back into sort of realizing that theaters can have significance for a movie like this, especially to kind of give it just, more of a pop. And then when it comes on streaming, probably in less than a month, it already has, more attention because it played in theaters. So that's a little tangent, mini rant about the way it's being released. But if you do have Apple TV+, this is worth checking out. I do like that they're putting it out on Valentine's Day, because it is definitely about the romance at its core. I wish some things had been changed about the way the movie culminates, but I still thought it was overall, there's a lot of, good to recommend the movie. I'll just, in my mind, I'll probably do those rewrites if I watch it again. All right, guys, those are my thoughts on The Gorge, which again you can see this weekend on Apple TV Plus. Thanks. If you can like and subscribe, that'd be great. Take care. Gorge, I fell into the gorge. You fell into the gorge. We all fell into the gorge. Am I the only one who thinks about that song when I hear that title? Maybe? Maybe not.